morning, good afternoon, good evening. I've said on this platform that Zimbabwe is a failed state. And one of the reasons why we are a failed state is that we failed to hold free, fair, and credible elections in the last 45 years. Zimbabwe is a de facto one-party state. And let's not pretend that the army, the police, the CIO, the judiciary have all been captured by Zanu PF to do its dirty bidding. All those institutions are but a department of the ruling party Zanu PF. And all the top brass in those institutions have played their part in creating, imposing, and sustaining the de facto one-party state. So it's becoming tedious when the army or the police or someone in the judiciary pretends that they are anything other than an extension of Zanu PF. In the 2017 military coup, we had the army waving the Zimbabwe's constitution, pretending that they are there to defend the constitution. Then a few days later, they staged the coup. I repeat, there is not a single chapter or verse in the constitution that says a military coup is legal, justified, and constitutional. So let's stop this nonsense of people who come when it's convenient for them. They want to uphold the law and pretend they care about the law, when in reality they don't. Recently, of course, we've had the whole thing of the 2017 being reenacted again, this time spearheaded by Blessed Geza and a few of his war veterans. This nonsense has got to stop. The war veterans, be they retired or were demobilized soon after independence, or they are serving in the various institutions like the army, the police, the CIO, and even in government itself. They have all played their part in the creation and imposition of the de facto one-party state. There is nothing democratic about Zanu PF imposing the one-party state. Let's be very clear on that. So these people who want now to pretend as if they care about democracy, it's all nonsense. It should be denounced in no uncertain terms. Just taking advantage of the people, pretending that you care when you don't. Here is an audio supposedly coming from the Zimbabwe Defense Forces.
Commander to read our resolution to the nation of Zimbabwe.
Thank you very much, Commander. Let me not waste time, but go straight to the press statement to the nation of Zimbabwe. Today is 16 February 2025. Good evening, fellow Zimbabweans. We come to you at a time when our country is standing at a critical juncture. The political atmosphere in our dear country is now not conducive for peace. We shall address the nation as follows. To the Commander-in-Chief of the Zimbabwe Defense Force, President Emmerson Mnangagwa, we would like to warn you once again, as this is the last warning to you, as per our last two address on 13 November 2017 and 30 of February 2025. We clearly stated that Zimbabwe Defense Forces will always perform its duties as per Section 212 of the Constitution of Zimbabwe, Amendment number 20 of 2013. On 3rd of February 2025, we informed the nation that President Mnangagwa, Emmerson, and Ngue Owen were fingered in a clandestine assassination on military generals since Zimbabwe attained its independence in 1980. And a period which dates back during the time of First and Second Chimurenga. We also informed the nation that we are instituting a private investigation into these deaths. On the initial stage of the current investigation, two names of President Mnangagwa Emmerson and Ngue Owen is also featuring in the report on these killings of our dear colleagues. Findings of this report will be tabled before a court of law. We will leave no stone unturned. We have also noted that all the generals who were instrumental into the historic Operation Restore Legacy of 2017 were the one dying, which is so surprising that liberators are targeted and eliminated in such evil acts. We view these assassinations as extrajudicial killings, the deliberate killing of an individual outside of any legal framework. Everyone responsible for these deaths must be held accountable. On the economic decline, we have seen massive closures of big companies and shops, citing unfriendly business environment created by you and your sons, whom you have strategically appointed to lead key economic sectors. These shops closures will also increase the unemployment rate, which is currently at 90%.
Well, I'll stop it there. This is just a reenactment of what happened before the 2017 military coup. The coup was supposedly to remove the corrupt individuals around President Mugabe. And yet we know that that was just musical chairs, because corruption did not stop. If this individual is speaking on behalf of the Zimbabwe Defense Forces, if they've got evidence of any criminal activity, they should bring it before the courts of law and let the courts handle it. What the individual goes on to say is clearly meant to confirm what happened in 2017, that the army supported one faction of Zanu PF. The truth of the matter is, the army, the police, the CIO, and all these other various state institutions have all been captured. They are all departments of Zanu PF in all but name. So the statement is being made, as much as the individual would want to pretend it is not partisan, it is partisan. This is a faction that is supporting one side of the factional war in Zanu PF. So come out right. That's what you're doing. Don't pretend that you care about the people. The army has been corrupted for a long time. And there are track records showing clearly that the army is no longer an independent army serving the people of Zimbabwe. It is there serving Zanu PF. And when Zanu PF is going into some of this factional war, the army has found itself being pulled one way or the other. Here is two senior army commanders speaking about their political allegiance to Zanu PF.
We wish to make it very clear to all Zimbabwean citizens that the security organization will only stand in support of those political leaders that will pursue Zimbabwe's value, traditions, belief, for which thousands of lives were lost in pursuit of Zimbabwe's hard-won independence, sovereignty, territorial integrity, and the national interest. To this end, let it be known that the highest office on the land is a straitjacket, whose occupant is expected to observe the objectives of the liberation struggle. We will therefore not accept, let alone support or salute anyone with a different agenda that threatens the very existence of our sovereignty, our country, and our people.
That was, of course, nonsense. He was saying there the army would not salute Morgan Tsvangirai if he was to win the elections. If the people of Zimbabwe felt that Morgan Tsvangirai was qualified to be president, why should it be the army now that has a veto on who rules? If they ever produce the evidence in a court of law to show that and prove to the people of Zimbabwe that no one else other than those who fought in the liberation war are competent to rule the country, it flies in the face of logic. The whole principle about free, fair, and credible elections and everybody having a meaningful vote is that the people themselves should decide. If you've got any evidence at all that somebody is not qualified, put it before the court of law And let the court of law come up with that judgment. It should not be for the army to say who should govern the country. This mentality is still in the army. Here is a more recent statement from the army commander.
Zanu PF itatonga kusika matonge ameranya. Muchida musingadi. Ameni. Apa ndakutaura sakomanda army. Shashandisa inonzi command 40. Yes. Yaya emasabuku wariti wemusanga chazvigadzira. Amen. Zanu PF. Amen.
So the recent army statement is clearly a sign that the same army now has lost its confidence in the one faction of Zanu PF. And they support another faction. And they come before the people pretending that they are still committed to the Constitution, they're still committed to serving the people of Zimbabwe. No, you're not. You have served the Zimbabwe Defense Forces, just like the police, the CIO, the prison services, the judiciary. They have all been corrupted, and they have served Zanu PF very well. And they have served the people of Zimbabwe very badly. You must make up your choice. You cannot serve two masters. If you are serious about serving the people of Zimbabwe, then I think the first thing you should do is denounce your partisan mentality. Before the 2024 elections in South Africa, the Commissioner of Police addressed his officers and told them in no certain terms, you are here to keep the law and maintain law and order and peace. While you as an individual, you're entitled to have your own political views and support the party of your choice. But while you are serving the public, you must realize you have no political allegiance. This is exactly the opposite that we've seen in Zimbabwe police, the army, the CIO, etc. The individual in that audio was talking of senior army officials who have been killed. Many Zimbabweans have been killed since the country's independence. And if the truth be told, many of them were killed by army officials, police, CIO, at the behest of Zanu PF. Were you serving Zanu PF? or the people. Zimbabwe is right now trying to end the Zanu PF dictatorship. And part of it is making sure that we have got institutions like the army, the police, etc., that are there to serve the people and not have this partisan mentality. That is what we are talking about here. And it should be made abundantly clear that we cannot have a healthy and functioning democracy as long as we have got part of our institutions which are there to serve limited, selfish party political interests. The Zimbabwe Defense Forces should not be taking partisan positions in the Zanu PF factional war. That is not serving the people of Zimbabwe. That is serving Zanu PF. And they should not be waiving the constitution, quoting sections of it as if you care about the rule of law. There are many things that the army has done which you should rightly be ashamed of. And so this cherry picking must stop. The 2017 military coup was unlawful and unconstitutional. And it was carried out along partisan lines. And let's not pretend it was carried out to serve the people of Zimbabwe. All it did was remove one dictator and replace him with another. And these ZDF overtures, if all they want to do is replace Mnangagwa with another dictator, they should not expect the ordinary people of Zimbabwe to cheer and applaud that. Indeed, every thinking Zimbabweans will only denounce such pretense because it is pretense. We are sick and tired of the army pretending that they have got the veto in the nation's affairs. We want to establish a Zimbabwe in which everyone has a meaningful say in the governance of the country. We want a Zimbabwe in which the defense forces is there to serve the people of Zimbabwe and not the selfish interests of a particular party and a particular faction in that party. Thank you very much. Have a good day.